Most people are focused on the output, in other words, what the end result is. But after 20 years of doing business, I've actually much preferred at this point to focus on inputs. In other words, at this point, you're not so concerned with failure, mainly because you've done it so many times, you failed so many times that you're kind of, I wouldn't say immune to it, but let's just say a lot less let down than you were previously by any kind of failure. You're less afraid to try things. You have the bandwidth. In other words, you have some human resources helping you, have a team helping you. Maybe you've upgraded certain technologies that also make your life easier and save you a lot of time. I know we have, and we're just at the, let's say, maybe second inning of that. There's a lot to go, but already it's looking quite interesting. And quite honestly, when I wake up in the morning, I'm not focused on what's happening or what happened or what I want to happen. I'm focusing on getting things done the way that they should get done that day. And you're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days, you're going to have in between days, you're going to have days that you remember, you're going to have days that you forget about. But if you wake up and you get in there and you take every punch, every swing, every shot, every micro instance of your day to heart, seriously, and you do absolutely the best that you can expect a fairly good, with a little bit of luck, a fairly good outcome. And you can't control the outcome. In other words, there's times where, I've done everything by the book. I was on time for everything. I got out everything I needed to get out, put out throughout the day. I did all the best calls. I made all the best judgments and decisions and everything. And the end result of whatever it was we were working on, or I was working on, or whatever it was, it didn't actually go favorably. It did not go favorably. But, you have to do sometimes a couple of those days in order to get the one where you do it all right and you get the outcome that you were expecting or hoping for. Because it's too easy to judge your performance and rate yourself based on the outcome. Everybody looks at themselves and says, am I successful? Did I get the raise? Am I successful? Did I, close the deal with the client? Am I successful? Did I, make money in the stock market? So, or with my investments or real estate or whatever. It's not only about the result, it's about making the right calls at the right time. And you can, there's times I've actually gotten less than what I expected, but I made the right call. So in other words, I made less money, let's just say, but I served the client properly and I gave them the best advice. And now this client trusts me with anything. Like I actually went out of my way, let's say, to do something for free for a client that I could have charged them, several $100s for, and they would have probably happily paid it. But now I've essentially just bought myself a lifetime of loyalty from this client. So, you can't only look at the outcomes, because on paper, if you're just focused on outcomes and paper and, the bottom line 100% of the time, and you gauge yourself based on that, that's not a very good measuring stick. A better measuring stick is how good you did compared to yourself. That's number one. Another measuring stick is how good you did compared to everybody else. So, that's why there's benchmarks. So you could look, for example, at what an average cost per click is on Google Ads and see if your campaign is better optimized, and if you're underpaying compared to what the average is showing for what a click costs, it means that your ads are better optimized than your competitors and that you're doing something right. So even if, let's just say, your industry is in trouble at this moment and you're not hitting the numbers that you want to hit, you could still be performing better than a lot of other companies, or the majority even of companies in your sector, and you could be actually doing a very good job for a person and a company in that sector at that time, and come out way ahead long term based on just consistently making the right moves, continuously putting in effort when times are tough, doing the best that you can in any given situation, even though there might be almost a guaranteed probability of failure given whatever short-term objectives you're looking at. um, and there's also a learning part to it. There's a learning experience. There's a takeaway in terms of the knowledge that you come out of each experience, every day, every year, every endeavor, every effort, every, all the small stuff and all the big stuff, all the micro stuff, the micro efforts and the big efforts. And the key is to look for those opportunities. So those opportunities to learn and grow and become better. So every time you wake up and put in that sort of same amount of effort into your business, you're doing it better and better and better and increasingly better. You're getting smarter and smarter. You're getting more efficient and more efficient. You're avoiding making the same mistakes over and over. You're improving, okay, in a nutshell. So you want to make sure that you can track your performance, that you remain accountable, that you focus on your performance, that you don't blame other people for their performance, and you look for opportunities to help people on your team perform better. And if there's a few areas you want them to focus more on, you highlight them. And if there's a few things you think you can help them with, you help them. Of course, if you think there's somebody on your team that's sort of pulling a fast one on you, or just not pulling in their weight, and it's not necessarily experience related, or like if you feel it's effort related, or if there's any kind of malicious behavior that you've identified, you want to get rid of that person on your team as quickly as possible. But assuming that this person has good intentions and is putting in the full but maybe they just are missing a certain piece of the puzzle, you can always work with that, and help them improve as well. The key is to focus on the things you do every day, your top level strategies, your general ecosystem that you're preparing and working within. And if there's a certain part of that process you want taken away from you and given to someone else because you just don't like it, or you find it too, just not worth your time, delegate that. Okay. So this is turning into a bit of a rant, because I'm going around the main bread and butter, but really it comes down to focusing on the things you're doing rather than looking for an outcome, or looking to judge your performance based on an outcome that is kind of obscure, because it may have resulted from pure luck. It may have resulted from just a really good industry, like maybe people in IT were all, patting themselves on the back during COVID. But in reality, pretty much everybody in that sector did well. It was sort of an industry thing. If you were in that industry, you were making a killing no matter what you did. It doesn't mean that you really harnessed the full, ability of your team, the full capacity of whatever technologies you're working with, that you best served your clients, that you've really built something of substance. So the takeaway here for anybody that's been paying attention and has the intention of bettering themselves, and their business, and continuously learning and improving. The main slice here, guys, is to not beat yourself up too much based on outcomes, not pat yourself on the back too much either based on outcomes, but patting yourself more on the back about your perseverance, the fact that you were able to handle rejection and still get back up and fight, the fact that you came up with a great new idea and were willing to try it out even though it didn't necessarily work out. Maybe it was process of elimination. You've now ruled that out and can move on to another idea. But at least you believed in what you were doing. You pushed yourself to whatever reasonable limits you're willing to endure running your business. You've done things in an intelligent way, always striving to make things more efficient, and better for your customers, and always think long term rather than just chasing the next dollar. You are going to be in really good shape after a few years of doing this. Now, if you're in your first 5 years of business, it's really more of a it's more volatile. Let's call it that. It's less. You have less consistency. You have less confidence in the fact that if something that looks hot comes in, that looks like a really important deal comes in, and let's say you don't get it, then it seems more like the end of the world for you. Whereas after 20 years of doing the same thing, I can tell you that you will eventually be able to just shake off that dirt and move on with your life, a very satisfied and confident way, knowing that there's another bus coming soon around the corner, and not beating yourself up too much, because you'll realize with experience that some opportunities, or some, let me rephrase that, some occurrences and events that present themselves as potential opportunities were really disguised as time wasters, that were dead in the water, dead on arrival, dead on delivery, right from the outset, right from the get-go, and had zero chance of actually materializing no matter what you did. And what I can give you as examples is people who, thought they were going to start a business and reached out, and then I followed up with them for 6 months, and then it turns out that they decided they were not going to start the business. And so there was nothing to do on the marketing side. There was no work actually in sight for me. So I did come up with a few little shortcuts on how to pre-qualify a potential customer to avoid wasting your precious time. For example, preparing a proposal, doing multiple sales calls with them and entertaining and talking them, and really just cutting a little bit to the chase as early on as possible to really put them in a certain frame, to make sure that they are workable, so that you can, there's a real opportunity on the table for you and for them to work together, and they're not just very not busy people who have unlimited amounts of your time to waste, which there seem to be quite a lot of on this planet. So figuring out how to weed those out as quickly as possible would be probably a good thing to do. And if you like the idea of that, I'm actually going to link to a short video, which is, I believe, 60 seconds long, exactly 1 minute. And I break down, I believe it's 4 different things that you can do to save your time from these time thieves, I call them, which are people who don't really have the means, intentions fully, or certitude to be able to buy from you specifically. In other words, there's no chance that you're going to close a deal with this customer, nor would you really want to. And so I link to this video down below as a related video, and if you want to check it out, go ahead. You like this video, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe. Those are the 3 keys if you want to see more of my pretty furry Greek Hungarian marketer face again. So I hope you had a good drive with me, guys and girls and things, and all of those, thems, they, them, can't forget about them. So, yep, we'll see you in the next one. Thank you for paying attention and enduring my painstakingly thorough thought process. Ciao.